As I watched our singer, I was very, very interested to see that he was able to put his heart and his soul into the music. I think that when we come to look at our religious experience, reserved cultures such as mine miss out in the emotion of their religion. We make it so very, very clinical. We almost want to sterilize it. And yet when I come here and I hear the singing and I hear the music and I see that you are all so very, very happy, I sometimes think that we are missing something in our reserved cultures. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Now, of course, we do say that Englishmen are like meat and potatoes. French people, they are colorful like a fruit salad. And Latinos are hot-blooded like dark wine. And so we, each of us, have certain attributes that we have to stick with. We can't help the way our mothers brought us up, but I'm so appreciative that we can learn the joy of diversity. You see, I'm a typical male. I have difficulty multitasking. If I had had Kathleen doing this, she would have been able to talk and do her computer at the same time. But as Gerald Ford said he couldn't chew gum and walk at the same time, I can hardly talk and set my computer up at the same time. We'll cancel this one. Yeah, cancel that. Tonight I've been asked to talk about every church a community center. And as we think about this, before we start, I'd like us to bow our heads, and although we have just prayed, I want you to pray specifically that I will be able to present to you what the Lord wants you to hear. So let's just bow our heads. Gracious Father, as we think about this topic, we ask that your Spirit will move us to become what you want us to be. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Last quinquennium, we spoke about every church a community center. And then we spoke about every member a health minister. What we are looking for is participation. Participation in the part of members in the ministry of health and the ministry of healing. Every church, a community health promoting center. If we're going to think about this, we have to ask ourselves, what is the church? You have to bring it down a little slower. There we are. Every church, a health promotion center. And we have added to what we did last quinquennium, every member a health minister this quinquennium. I want to ask you, what do we mean by the church? You know, we say if we spell the church with a capital C, we mean the body of the church, the institution of the church. Some people would say if we spell it with a small c, we mean the local church. But in reality, what does the church mean to you? Do you think the church is a building? Or do you think the church is the congregation. When people ask us the question, what is the church doing about this or that? I often refer the question back to them and say, what are you doing about this or that? Because you are the church. We get many, many questions that are asked, what is the church going to do about abortion, for instance? We say, what are you going to do? Because as individuals, we are the church. I have a friend who asks the question, where is the church? He's a very dramatic preacher. He stands on the edge of the pulpit like this. And he says, where is the church on Monday morning? It's a very good question. And the response to where is the church on Monday morning comes from the audience, as it just did from Dr. Landless. What time is it? Because if it's 11 o'clock in the morning, the church may be in the classroom. The church may be in the shoemaker's shop. The church may be in the supermarket carrying baskets of food. The church may be checking out at the cashier's desk and saying, here's an extra $10. Please take it off the bill of the person who is coming behind me. Have you ever done that? Have you ever thought of doing that? I was with Dr. Landless, and he was in, I'm not quite sure, but it was a Caribbean island somewhere, and he decided to give $10 and said, to the person behind me, and walked out of the store. And as we left the store, we could see the surprise on the face of the person who was just told that her grocery bill was $10 cheaper than she thought it was going to be. That's what we mean by the church. We mean the members. And we are looking for the members to be doing outreach. Health covers a vast number of activities. This photograph could be the church doing some health ministry. It doesn't look like health ministry in a garden, but it could be. Especially when we consider the plight of many who live in the dense cities where there is very limited access to good, fresh produce. Think, for instance, of our city that we live in, Washington, D.C. When we go downtown, we may walk a mile or two to find a grocery store. It's quite possible that the plethora of McDonald's that have squeezed out the grocery stores, or maybe if it's Taco Hells, no, did I say Taco? Sorry, if it's Taco Bell's, that is where the local citizenry have to go to get their food. Have we ever thought of a garden in the grounds of the church as being health ministry? It's been proposed that we should turn our parking lots into produce markets on Sunday mornings. That we should be speaking to the local producers that grow vegetables in the area to come and bring and have a stall. You can sell your produce in our church parking lot. And we won't charge you any rent, as long as you give a good price to the people who are going to come and purchase your produce. You see, health ministry does not have to be something that is stylized, something that is programmatic and comes from the general conference. Because when we ask what is the church going to do about health ministry, it will depend upon the local need. What does it say as we turn open our book of the Ministry of Healing? It says, Jesus Christ came as the unwearied servant of man's necessity. In other words, Jesus met a need. Need is so varied. Need can range from that of some person with chronic obstructive lung disease who needs to breathe oxygen, to the old lady who needs help across the road. It can mean the young children who don't have access to fresh produce. My mother-in-law is 94 years old. She's getting a little strange in her old age. I sometimes wonder if her mental faculties are quite normal. Sometimes as people become older, they have a little paranoia, little schizoid type of thinking that comes about. But even in her very old age, 94 years, she performs health ministry. She's not an Adventist, but you don't have to be an Adventist because we don't hold the sinecure on health ministry. No, she does health ministry in a very interesting way. Just last month, a 42-year-old young woman came and was admitted to the nursing home, having suffered a stroke, being paralyzed down the right side, and being unable to talk. And she will come, and she will sit, and can't talk. But my mother-in-law will hold her hand. And as she holds her hand, tears will stream down the face of the 42-year-old. And there is a picture of a 94-year-old doing health ministry to a 42-year-old. And Grandma may not have the clearest recollection of events of the day. She may wonder and misconstrue the activities going on next door. But she can hold the hand of a person in need. I believe part of the problem for the Seventh-day Adventist Church is that we do not see the people who are in need. We just often don't see them. And then sometimes I wonder, perhaps do we really care? You know, we like to see ourselves as caring people. But do we like the image of the people who need the care? Would you truly like to see your church filled with vagabonds and alcoholics? Think about it. Just about 3 months ago, I met a woman who came and told us a story that was most moving and profound. This woman, as she came into the office, looked like a business executive. She carried herself with all the certainty and aplomb of a very, very well-heeled woman. And she told her story. She said, when I was 22, I was a cocaine addict and an alcoholic. And I remember coming home one day to the group home where I stayed to find a naked man completely stoned lying on the settee in the common room lounge. Completely naked, completely stoned. And I looked at him, and I too was barely in my senses. And I went to my room only to be overcome by a massive sense of despair and futility. And I thought, I will kill myself and end this misery. It's easy to think of killing yourself. To actually do it is more difficult because many people try and very few succeed. I worked on a poison control unit one time, and I remember we used to say only about 2% of the people that took an overdose actually succeeded, because there were guys like me who would ram big pipes down their esophagus into their stomach and flush them out and wash the pills out and often salvage them. This young woman came to that point that she didn't know what to do, and she decided to go to a church. She said, can you imagine? Here I was, dirty, smelling of alcohol, disheveled, my hair a terrible mess, infected skin because of the needles that she was injecting. She came into the church and she said, I praise God that the people in that church were so superior to the people in many churches I visit today. She said they welcomed me in. And because of the love and warmth of a congregation, that very sophisticated woman today carries out a ministry, not to those who are addicted, not to those who are alcoholic, but to those well-heeled, well-tied, well-tailored congregants of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, as she teaches them how to open their hearts to those who are in need. She has recognized that there is a need for revival and reformation of that true godliness of which I spoke about on the first night. Too many of us are trying to lift ourselves by our bootstraps. Well, we don't wear boots these days. We wear running shoes because we are health conscious. But still we're taking the laces and trying to lift ourselves by our own maneuvers and our own measures. Let me remind you that the Pharisees loved rules, rituals, and processes, as well as programs. We are all different. We are each given special gifts. We must be willing to use those gifts and allow others to use the diversity of their gifts, even if they may not perfectly align with ours. Because it is in the diversity of the gifts that we will be able to meet the diversity of the need. I have a very close relative who actually goes and sits and talks every week when he's in his regular place with 200 homeless young people. He sits and talks and says he has to dress for the occasion. He has to get rid of his suit. He has to put on a t-shirt. He has to put on dirty old jeans. And he sits there and he counsels them as to what is the best kind of drug to use if you're going to be using drugs. For me, that's a very strange type of ministry. Well, you'd be better to take marijuana than crack cocaine. In the long run, it will do you less harm. I mean, what kind of ministry is that? But his gift is the capacity to sit and be at ease with kids and people who are what we might call derelicts. And I must give him space. And I must give him freedom. And I must give him a blessing to do whatever he can for those people. You see, the Holy Spirit speaks to us all as individuals and revives us individually. It is the Holy Spirit, that power that descended like a flame of fire on the apostles, that is the power of the gospel and gives power to those who would preach the gospel. Those of us who would want to serve God need to realize that service to humanity is the best service to God. Of course, we can serve with different kinds of attitudes. I put this picture up because I thought it represented the attitude that some of us might have to service. You know, we know that this dog wants to just gobble up that hamster, but the master wants him to be tolerant. Sometimes our attitude shows through like that. We're not altogether cheerful servants. Then we need to have our priorities straight. I saw this cartoon, and it reminded me of a true story. I have a friend who was on the Zambezi in a canoe. Actually, my daughter and his wife were in one canoe, and he was in the other canoe. And as they went down the Zambezi, my daughter, being a very coordinated, athletic type, and also his wife being of somewhat the same ilk, managed to capsize the canoe, and they fell into the Zambezi. Now, the Zambezi teems with crocodiles. They are big beasties, not unlike in appearance the alligators here in Florida, but in nature very willing to take hold of a person and gobble them down. And so the young daughter of mine and this wife were in great fear to get out of the water and get back into the canoe. And as they struggled and rushed, and fear drained all the blood from their face, and they finally managed to get back in the canoe, the first question that came to them was, "Did the camera get wet?" Are we really concerned about the needs of people? Or are we concerned about our own agendas? Did we manage to actually put into process that Breathe Free program? We know the Breathe Free program is what they need, and it's our priority to deliver it. But perhaps the people that are in need are worried about crocodiles. What is it that motivates us? A selfish desire? Or could it be that having experienced redemption, having experienced grace, having experienced the blessing of health ministry, we have a grateful heart? You see, if my spiritual motivation is I ought to, I should, I must, as a Christian it's my duty, it behoves us, it's not the right motivation. Life is a sermon. Life is a sermon. If we will live our lives in what I call a homiletic bias, thinking to find the sermon in everything we see, we will take time to see the meaning, to see the need, to feel the sorrow and the joy, the pain and the pleasure. So where is the church? Where is the church on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sabbath? Is our church an underutilized piece of real estate? I went to Bermuda, and there in Hamilton, we have a church right downtown in prime Hamilton. And I said, wow, how much is this property worth? They said, oh, between $26 and $28 million. And I said, and when do you meet here? They said, we meet here on Sabbath mornings, and we have prayer meeting. And on Friday nights, we have choir practice and a youth meeting. $28 million worth of real estate. Is that an appropriate use? There's a picture of a mosque. Do you find this mosque attractive? Does it tell you to come inside? Or when you look at the mosque, when I look at the mosque, I am so impressed with the architecture. When you come to my church, I'm sure you'll be impressed with the music, with the pipe organ. Can we be so impressed with the service of our church? That is the divine service of our church. That we've forgotten the need for the service by the church. I'm asking these questions because if we're going to be every church a community center and every member a health promoter, we're going to have to make our church a school of fellowship. We're going to have to get the people together so that they can mingle with each other, so that they can interact with each other. You know, we sometimes talk about a potluck. It's not a potluck. You don't come and just take your luck and see what you can get. You don't bring along a little pot of beans and put it there and then feast and gourmandize on a huge meal that everybody else has made. It should be a fellowship luncheon. And it should be less about the food and more about the fellowship. Jesus, I believe, was accused by the Pharisees of one of the things I wish every Seventh-day Adventist could be accused of. He ate with sinners. Oh, no, he didn't fill a bag, a little brown paper bag with an apple and a sandwich and put in there maybe a piece of, some kind of veggie meat. And he didn't have a tomato and a boiled, or maybe even a boiled egg. And he didn't go around and feed 200 people in 1 hour. You know, you can go to some places where they're all lined up looking for a job. You know, the laborers, the day laborers looking for an hourly wage, minimum wage, and they're all standing there. And our church goes and gives them food. It's a good thing, but Jesus didn't do that kind of ministry. Jesus sat down eyeball to eyeball, and he looked across the table, and he said things like, "Tell me, Zach, how do you feel about collecting taxes from these people? Does it make you happy to think that you get your money from collecting taxes?" And Zacchaeus said, "What am I to do? Look at you Jesus, you're eating at my house. You wouldn't be able to eat here if I didn't collect the taxes. The only reason I can invite you into my place. And they would have a real discussion. What is a community? What is a community? What is your community? Is it those of you who gather in Sabbath school class and talk and say, we're going to raise money to send some books to the troops like our class did last week? Or is it something more than that? Could it be that when we heard and read in Revelation, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that we have come out of her, that we partake not in their necessity? Could it be that we have come out of them because we are so comfortable in the padded pews that are so easy to rest in on the Sabbath? Could it be that we have joined the church to listen to the beautiful music and close our eyes and in rest and relaxation on a Sabbath morning think, oh, what a fortunate person I am to belong to this church? You see, one man's need seems to another to be a luxury, but each location has decided local needs. What I'm calling for in the church today is for revolutionaries. I'm calling for revolutionaries who can carefully balance the needs, who can work for and with Jesus, balance our involvement, balance our message, balance our objectives. Christ's commission may invoke many thoughts and challenges, and to some of us, we think maybe we've been called to be angels of mercy, and like some mysterious ethereal benefactors think that we're going to go and sprinkle a tinsel blessing on the community. The blessings that we must bring to the community are real, tangible. And a health center may look like a cabbage patch. There are many ways to make the church meaningful. We need to focus on the whole person. Fortunately, Seventh-day Adventist Church has always had a whole, and that's spelt with a W, holistic approach. We believe in the physical plus, because physical needs never exist in isolation. And the solutions have to be atypical in the local situation. You see, the needs are mental plus. The inner conflicts are not always visible. And historically, as a church, we have ignored them or else trivialized and platitudinized their treatment. We've given stock answers and solutions. Maybe we've said you need to pray a little more, my friend. Sometimes we have social needs, and you know what the world needs is empathy and not sympathy. Put yourself in the place of that individual. And there are spiritual needs. Spiritual needs even in the deepest villages of Africa where these children were photographed. Children who have so few of this world's goods. Little children have needs. Our youth have needs. And I'm going to ask Dr. Landless to come and just talk a little bit about some of the needs within our church. Because I'm afraid that this myopia that we suffer from not only extends to the outside group, but it may also involve those young people in our churches.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Handysides. We focused a little bit last evening on the issue of relationships and connectedness. And connectedness being a connection horizontally, young people with each other, and connectedness with God. We focused on the importance of fostering those relationships because our young people are hemorrhaging out of our church. While we focus on minutiae, our young people are in trouble. You may be aware of the Adventist Health Study. In fact, you are. Dr. Tricia Pennacook made us very aware of the Adventist Health Study. And of the 100,000 participants, looking at a very selected group of the church, because you had to be dedicated to fill in that form, 3.5 to 4 hours filling in the form. Not everybody took the time to do it. But when they analyzed and looked at the percentage of people who took alcohol as disclosed on that form, 10% acknowledged the use of alcohol. And that's of a focused, selected group. When we look at our young people, we see that many of them are facing these issues which we don't talk about. We're in the denominational denial phase, and in the congregational closet. We don't talk about them because we as Adventists don't have addictions, or do we? Or do we? Had the privilege of spending time with some of you over this summit looking at the issue of alcohol. It is a very real issue right within our own church. The issue of drugs, the issue of addictions, the addiction to the media, to pornography. 30% of the clergy. Now we're looking across the board. 30% of the clergy are addicted to pornography. And I'm sure if we were to speak to Dr. Fayard, he could tell us some interesting things related to that kind of issue. I opened the Newsweek magazine 5 years ago to find in the center pages a Seventh-day Adventist minister who'd come out of the closet, as it were, on his issue of pornography addiction. So we face addictions as readily and as really as does the community that we've been hearing about this evening. And I have just 2 minutes to share with you some of the work being done and that can be done right in your communities using a tool that God has given to this church. He gave it to the church 60 years ago. It's called the ICPA. Now, I come from Africa. You may or may not believe that looking at me, but I do come from Africa. And in Africa, when you mention something like ICPA, they sit up and they say, what kind of animal is that? That animal is the International Commission for the Prevention of Alcoholism and Drug Dependency. It is a non-governmental organization with a United Nations charter, which means that we are able to work in every country in which the United Nations has a listing of that country on their books. That means that we can go into certain countries where the church is not welcome. Of course, we can go into countries where the church is welcome as well. And our major thrust is in education, advocacy, and the promulgation of cutting-edge technologies or understandings relating to addictions. I want to share with you, right in your own division, in 2007, the World Cup cricket was held in which country? Can you remember the major ones? Jamaica was one of them. In fact, that was the headquarters, because I remember making a number of visits along with ICPA representatives here in this area, and as a result of those visits and teamwork with the Cancer Association and other interested parties, that event in this division was a smoke-free event. Come on, brethren and sisters, wake up. The Lord does great things. That same organization gives us the opportunity of once to twice a year speaking in the House of Commons in London to young people about addictions, prevention, drugs, and associated problems. In October of last year, we had the privilege of addressing the National Prevention Forum on Health Promotion in China. And the request was, would you please talk about features of the Adventist Health Study, invited by the Chinese government. At the end of our visit, they said, would you join as an overseas advisor our forum in national health education for our hospitals? Right now, there's a very exciting project in a Muslim country where we've been invited to work on smoking cessation. And I really appreciated the vulnerability and transparency shared by Dr. Handysides when he mentioned the visit to Paho, where he told them what Adventists are all about. When I came to the negotiations with the chair of the Faculty of Health Sciences in this particular university, we were sitting in a room together, one-on-one. And I said to him, knowing full well that they'd done a security clearance on me, they had Googled my name, they know that I write in the Seventh-day Adventist Review, Associate Director of Health Ministries for the General Conference. They know I'm an Adventist. I felt impressed as I sat across the table to say to him, Professor so-and-so, I need to tell you that I am a Seventh-day Adventist. It went as quiet as it went here now. He said to me, I'm very pleased that you told me. I said, I have something more to tell you. The young people, very qualified in public health, who are going to be working here at this university with the ICPA and with you, are also Seventh-day Adventists. He said, thank you for telling me. I could have lost my job had I not known. I said, I want to tell you something more. And I wondered, why was I talking to him like that? And I remembered Balaam's donkey, and I took more courage. I said, although we are not coming here to proselytize and to baptize in your university teaching place, I cannot prevent those young people who are followers of Jesus from reflecting the love and the grace of Jesus Christ to everyone they meet. I thought, now it's going to make or break. He said to me, thank you for telling me. From that moment, the level of relationship took a completely different level for the better. We visited with the dean, with the provost of the university, and they said, whenever you want to work here, you are welcome. My last visit just a few weeks ago, walked into the office of one of the senior faculty, and they said to me, this is a very senior individual in that Faculty of Health Sciences. He looked across at me and he said to me, Dr. Landless, two things I need to tell you. Number one, we think a lot more of Jesus Christ than you think we do. Number two, he said, I want to tell you, be encouraged that soon your organization, he wasn't talking about the ICPA, your organization will be very welcome in this country. The instrument, the tool is available. Belkis, your able leader, and many others are aware of its availability to be used in your division. The challenge is, are we going to sit and think, or are we going to get up, take the challenge, and move forward? God bless you as you answer that question here in this great division where there's a huge need for the issues of addictions inside and outside of the church to be addressed. God bless you and happy Sabbath.
Three portions. The first portion is about the concept. What is the concept of charters? And the second one is, where should the charters be located, be launched? And then the third one, how can you sensitize the members? So let's go to the charters. Charters is actually an acronym. Acronym that stands for Comprehensive Health and Rehabilitation through Evidence-Based Research Strategies. So again, as I mentioned, in all our presentation, it should be evidence-based. We cannot say, this is a chikungunya liquid that can cure all sorts of disease. That's not evidence-based. And once we talk about things that are not evidence-based, they will question us whether our theology is also very sound or not. So again, it should be evidence-based. Now, another thing is charters carries also a double meaning. As you look at these handouts that are being given, okay, you can see that there is a charting page. It has a double meaning. So as the participants comes to the church, then they will do the charting progress, which is very important. So if they see that, okay, their blood pressure is normal, then they put 1 point. And then how many hours of sleep, then they put another 1 point. Whether they have breakfast or not, and whether they have exercise or not, and whether they do not smoke cigarettes, they get 1 point. And the total is 40 points. And this is very important because some of the participants can be very shy. So by using this, they will be able to talk, they will be able to participate. Now, then we will give you the whole year of charters. The whole year of charters looks like this. It has Module 1, and then it has Expo, and then Module 2, Module 3A and 3B, and then you will be able to see one by one, okay? The Module 1 is a preparation, because unless the church members are nurtured, it is impossible to do the outreach activities. They should understand what is it all about healthy lifestyle. Now, how do we nurture our church members? We nurture it by health professionals. And let me tell you a unique experience that was experienced way back in 1970 by Curtis Bradford and Leo Van Dolsen. Curtis Bradford is the evangelist, and Leo Van Dolsen is the health educator. And it happened in the Loma Linda. So when they made evangelistic campaign, so they found out, wow, the non-SDA keep on coming, but the SDA keep on dropping. They say, what's wrong? So one day, they went and visited the Seventh-day Adventist members and said, oh, sister, I hope you can come again this evening. He said, no, I'm not coming. Why? He said, because you talk about coffee, and I am a coffee drinker, so I'm not coming again. So you see, if the person is not convinced that we need to drink water instead of coffee, you know, coffee is a stimulant, it's a diuretic. So we need water instead of coffee. If they are not convinced that water is the best thing for your health, then they will not be able to come and will not convince. So before reaching out to others, the church members needs to be motivated to see the blessing of following the healthy lifestyle. So how do you nurture the church members? First of all, you present the whole concept of charters. This is going to be the whole year program. And then after that, you can give an Adventist health philosophy. And then you can give the organization and responsibilities of the health team and the importance of building relationships. We have talked a lot about relationships because the health is only a medium to bring people to the Lord. The most important thing is to build relationship with people. The importance of evidence-based presentation. So don't present cuckoo presentation. We have to present an evidence-based presentation. So once the church members are convinced that healthy habits strengthen the immune system, they are ready to make their own personal lifestyle improvements. And only when they have walked the talk can they reach out to others through health. So again, that's the first part of Module 1. Then after that, what we do is after the members are excited about their healthy lifestyle, then we do a health expo. When we do a health expo, then what do? We usually recommend by using the acronym that the General Conference Health Ministries Department has developed, which is celebrations. So what we do is we put celebrations, we put all the banners on one side, and we put all the non-communicable disease. You know, Dr. Hans still have talked about the diseases that we can help reduce the risk. And we can say, okay, these are the diseases that you can reduce the risk if you live up this healthy lifestyle. So we have the choice, exercise, liquid, environment, belief, rest, air, temperance, integrity, optimism, nutrition, social support banner on the other side, and the disease on the other side. Why do we do this? This is a sentinel event to make people attracted to the health message. So secure the community's attention by doing a health expo. And then also we exhibit with them simple health screening. So on each side under the banner, we can do simple screening tests. And we cannot go through it in detail, but at least you know the overall concept. Okay? Then after that, we come to the Module 2. Module 2 is an initial health series of 8 programs. And this we recommend that it be given in 4-week period. And we need to advertise. And the initial series are on health, disease, choose 8 of them. Now I'm going to run through this quickly because this Module 2 is an introduction of general. Okay, we are giving you the CDs of charters. The reason why we did not put that in the website because we are still upgrading it. We're still upgrading it, so we do not have a complete series. So the department just make 220 CDs for you. At least you can see what kind of program that can be given as a health program for the charters. Okay, you can talk about mental health, obesity, osteoporosis, sexuality, stroke, and every time you must have refreshments, door prices, health magazines, other promotional materials. All this should be available so that they can get all the information that they need. Now, just remember that these non-SDAs, they are not like us. They smoke. They often drink alcohol. They normally don't eat vegetarian food. So vegetarianism will be eluded, but no heavy promotion on vegetarianism. Controversy must be avoided. We don't talk about the image of the beast, you know. Tolerance will keep people coming back to learn more and more. Okay, so this is an introduction to the issues in health. Now, the real progress comes when the individuals decide to enroll in one of the tracks that you will offer. Okay, so this is what you call the survey. When we do a survey, so we know if in the community surrounding your church has problems with diabetes, you don't talk about AIDS. If the community has problems with hypertension, you don't talk about osteoporosis and so forth. So depending on what it is, then you will do a general track Module 3A, which is general track, has no series at all, or Module B, which has a lot of series, okay? So this series is going to be, if you look at it, it's 8 months. So 1 in each month, and you can see the track in the CD. You can talk about diabetes. Dr. Henry Seitz makes about diabetes. So there are 8 tracks about diabetes. And then Dr. Landers talk about hypertension. So there are 8 tracks about cardiovascular disease, about osteoporosis, about cancer, and so forth. So these are the things that they can talk, and it's very easy. If you call a doctor to say, can you talk about this? They say, I don't have time. I'm so busy with my patient. But once we have made the PowerPoints, then they can just say, that's so easy. I can do it too. So this is for them to use it. And then the general track should have a monthly banquet. That's where we sit and we talk and we get to know each other with the non-SDA. So this is the activity. You have the welcome, sitting, serving, eating, presentation of topic, question and answers, check blood pressure. And then as they report, because we always ask them to put down their report in writing, in charting, so they will be able to talk using this one so that they will not feel uncomfortable. Okay, then this is the general topic, which is called the Module 3A, that can be presented in any kind of situation. It has no tracks at all. It's diabetes, mental health, family, and so forth, mental health, sleep, fatigue, social behavior, spirituality, health, tobacco, number one killer, and this specific tracks is Module 3B. And again, it has the same suggested program, and it comprises again of 8 interactive sessions on one of the following topics, whether it's a cancer, cardiovascular, diabetes, obesity, nutrition, depression, men's health, and so forth. So if they have several tracks, now like I'm coming from a Chinese church, I have only 100 members in our church. I cannot do these 2 tracks at the same time. But Dr. Handysides and Dr. Landers comes from a very huge church, Spencerville Church. They can do 2 kinds of tracks, Module A or Module B. So it depends on your church. But what we do in a Chinese church, we always give food, and then we call the Chinese people that come from China to come over to our church, and they listen to our monthly health presentations, and it worked very well, okay? And so now, so there are several tracks, and it depends on your church. Now, there are 5 commandments of charters. The first one, that is, we need to build friendship. Just remember, health is a neutral subject that we can present it. We can talk to the Buddhists, we can talk to the Muslim, we can talk to everyone because everyone likes to be healthy. But number 1 important is to build friendship. And number 2 is the meeting schedules should be rigidly adhered. No matter how good your meetings, don't stretch it out to 2 hours, because it's better to have the group excited looking for more than to figure out, I have asked my babysitter to come for 1 hour. Now this is stretching to 2 hours. And then it makes them feel very, very uncomfortable. And the third commandment is that all participants should be given a chance to give their report. Again, how we do this? By filling the forms of Hold On to Health. And the fourth is we must have banquet. We must have good meals, not potluck. The meals that are being coordinated so it has a balanced diet, and people, as they talk to each other and as they support one another, they build relationships. And the last one is the lifestyle coaching team should not be overworked. You know, if you have a little, only a few people to do this, don't do ask them for always to present this one so that they feel overworked. So make sure that members do not feel overworked. So that is the principles, the commandments of charters. Now let's go to the location. Where is the best thing to do charters? As you know, Dr. Handyside has mentioned that the church needs to be a community health center. So the best way is to introduce this health message, this health presentation in a church setting, because it's a neutral way to introduce others to the Lord. And remember, health is a universal goal for people, and health activities are non-threatening. People don't feel uncomfortable when you talk about health, and it meets the needs of all kinds of people. And again, the reasons why we need to launch in the church is because it gives credibility to the church. And the church can handle many kinds of groups because it's free of charge. You know, if your church is known as, oh, if you have diabetes, you go to the Adventist church. They have ways to tell you how to reduce the risk of diabetes. If you have hypertension, go to the church. So Dr. Alvin Adams thinks that, you know, we can promote, you know, church the credibility of the church by offering something that is beneficial to the community. Yeah. So it's free, and also it allows non-SDA to become familiar with church environment, which is non-threatening, and it makes non-SDA feels more comfortable saying yes to future invitations to church programs. Okay? Now, in Testimony Volume 6, page 289, it says, the medical missionary work should be a part of the work of every church in our land. Disconnected from the local church, it would soon become a strangely, madly disorganized atoms. In fact, in Ministry of Healing, it said every church should be a training school for Christian workers. There should be schools of health, cooking school, and classes in various lines of Christian help work. And there should not only be teaching, but actual work under experienced instructor. Now, so we can see that a successful church-based Hold On to Health Charters program needs to have the involvement as many church members as possible. Why do we say this? Because Mrs. White says, in Desire of Ages, all who receive the life of Christ are ordained to work for the salvation of their fellow men. For this work, the church was established, and all who take upon themselves its sacred vows are thereby pledged to be co-workers with Christ. The moment the new member is baptized, they are going to be co-workers with Jesus. And therefore, we need to involve them. That's the reason number one. The reason number two is because their healthcare institution can never keep up with people's healthcare needs. And healthcare is getting more and more expensive, and church member needs to pick up the challenge promoting the health message because we have the holistic prevention principles. You know, as it mentioned by Dr. Handyside this afternoon, that Dr. Margaret Chan, the Director General of the World Health Organization, in an opening speech to the annual WHO Executive Board meeting, says non-communicable diseases are among the most pressing public health challenges in the future. And you know, way back in 2004, the World Organization adopted a non-legal advocacy-based approach using GSDPAH. That means it is a global strategy on just diet, physical activity, and health. And this is actually built on FCTC. That means it's a framework convention on tobacco control, which they call the attention, don't smoke. Number one. Number two, good diet. And number three, physical activity. Only three. But we, as an Adventist, we have this message long time ago. We have 8 natural remedies. Not only no tobacco, because that's part of temperance. Anything that's bad, don't take it. Yeah. Not only temperance, but we also have about pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, trust, and divine power. These are the true remedies. So we as a church, we have all these 8 natural remedies to promote, and it's better than only 3. Diet, physical activity, and no tobacco. So in medical ministry, said the gospel of health is to be firmly linked with the ministry of the word. It's the Lord's design that the restoring influence of the health reform shall be a part of the last great effort to proclaim the gospel message. In fact, in Evangelism, page 513, nothing will open the doors for the truth like evangelistic medical missionary work. This will find access to hearts and minds and will be a means of converting many to the truth. So we need to use the health presentations in the church setting. Now that we know that health presentations should be done in church, how do we sensitize our members? Okay, that's the third part. Okay, I'm on time. Still 15 minutes more. Okay, technique of presentation. Okay, the church members as primary health workers need to bear in mind that all these health programs offered are only means of leading others to a saving relationship of Jesus. So, what is more important is we build relationship with them. Okay? Now, what is the successful method of Jesus? It says Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. The Savior mingled with men as one who desired their good, and as one, he showed his sympathy for them, ministered to their needs, and won their confidence. Then he bid them, follow me. So there are 5 steps. 5 steps to assure that health evangelism is going to be successful. First of all, Jesus mingled with men as one who desired to do good. We are interested with them. We are not only want to baptize them into our church, but we truly are interested in helping their needs. And number 2, we show sympathy to them as they struggle with their addictions, with the tobacco addictions, with their alcohol addictions. And then we minister to their needs. And then we want their confidence. And then we say, follow me. So how do we do that? We have to involve the church members who are health professionals. Okay? Health programs are conducted by doctors, by nurses, by therapists, by dentists, and nutritionists. You cannot call a farmer to present health lectures, or even a computer person to present health lectures. Not because they cannot master the presentation, but if they ask questions, what are we going to ask? What kind of answers are they going to give? So to give credibility, you must have health professionals. And then, because it will bring prestige to the program, then they will say, this church has health professionals that can give evidence-based presentations, so that when they ask questions, they can answer in a very intelligent way. Now, because we always have health professionals who give us this thing, then it is the non-health professional church members that they feel, oh, okay, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, so I'm not going to be involved. Wrong. You know, it's very important for them to be involved because of their unique ability to care, to give sympathy, and to support the individual who have health problems. You know? It's impossible for the doctors, or for the professor, for the dentist, for the nurses, for the physiotherapists to be close to those people who attend the presentation, because they're up here. So it's impossible for them to devote their time to be close to them. And this is where the non-health professional comes into the picture. Because the unique church-based health programs is the only way where we can provide a dedicated staff of caring church members who can make friends with the non-SDA. And as a criteria, it should be non-paid. Because if you have a paid person to be there, to be friends, then they will say, time's up, I have to go home now. You know? But if it's a non-paid person, then they will not look at the clock. They love it. They are voluntarily helping the people. And so they can be close to that person. And so it should be non-paid. And then the volunteering spirit demonstrates the caring and concerns to others. So it is very, very important. Because of this caring, supportive friendship, they found in getting to know the church members who took a special interest in them, then they will be easily won to the church. Just remember, accurate facts and a quality presentation may attract a person to the health program that is being conducted in the church setting. But it will be a caring church members who wins them to the church. So this is the key to it. It should be the caring members. That's why when you say that the health program, non-health professionals, I'm not going to be involved, is totally wrong. We need to involve the non-health professional. So how can we have that meaningful interactions with the non-SDC? The ratio that was being suggested by Dr. Alvin Adams is 1 to 2 members or 3 members, because you cannot get close to more than 3 members. So if your church is going to do a smoking cessation program and you have only 10 members, again, 10 members, volunteer members, not paid members, okay? 10 volunteer members who wants to help, you can only register for 20 people, not more. Our church is always interested in quantity and not in quality. Big people. Our church have made 500 people comes to the smoking cessation program. But after that, we don't have any relationship with them. We never make a relationship. But we said, we have only 20 people, but then we know them. Remember Dr. Fred Harding mentioned about how we get to know each other, we build relationship, and that's the most important thing. Okay, then a church member cannot get close to more than 2 or 3 people, because as they make friends, then they will say, oh, your birthday, they will come to the house and give present or invite them. You know, just build relationship with them. Make friends with them. And you cannot make friends with 10 people, only 2 people, okay, for one person. That's why the ratio is 1 to 2 or 3. Now, enrollment of the public needs to be limited to a proportion of the church members' volunteers. Now, again, as we do this, we must have always light refreshment and specific track with always a meal so that we can get along with others. Now, there's a studies that have been shown what is the various pathway to baptism. And here's what they found. People come to the church because of friends, 79%. Pastors, only 6%. Sabbath school, only 5%. Program, only 3%. Special needs, only 2%. Visitations, only 1%. Crusade, a little bit over 1%. So, you can see the process of movement to baptism is really unique. What is the process of movement? A person develops an interest in something offered by the SDA church. If they know that the SDA church, oh, you have problems with hypertension, go to the Seventh-day Adventist church. If you have problems with stroke, go to the Seventh-day Adventist church. You have problems with osteoporosis, go to the Seventh-day Adventist church. You know Dr. Oscar Giordano? You know him, right? The one that come. Yeah. Oscar Giordano was being baptized in the U.S., and so when he went back to Argentina, he wants to find out the church, the Adventist church. They say, where's the Adventist church? Oh yeah, that's a church over there. That's a church. Oh, they come on Saturday, they sing, they pray, close the door, and go home. That's all. You know, they are not known to have community service. So if our church, you want to have credibility in the community, you have to offer something that is beneficial to the community. So they will say, if your church is going to be closed down, they will say, no, we want the Seventh-day Adventist church, because the Seventh-day Adventist church are the only church that we can go to when we have health problems. See? So then the person who knows that the Adventist church give all this health message, all health presentation, they will be attracted to come to the church. Okay? So, and then they come to the Seventh-day Adventist church because the church offers something beneficial. And then they form friendship in the church because you have a ratio of 1 to 2. You not only talk to them during meetings, but you went over to their house, you build a relationship, give them cookies, bake them food, and if their birthday, give them gifts and so forth. So it's really, really building up relationship. And then it finds them easier to accept the distinctive doctrines, and then they will accept baptisms. So now let's see whether does the Charters program fill these requirements or not. So let me ask you one question. Does Hold On to Health, the Charters church-based program, cause an interest in something the Seventh-day Adventists just have? Does it? Yes, because we are presenting the neutral subject, the health subject, that everybody is interested, whether they are Buddhists, whether they are Muslims, whether they are Protestant, or everything. It's a neutral subject, and it's really attracting people. So the answer is yes. Okay, then the second question, does it bring person to the church? Yes or no? Yes, because we don't do it. Remember Mrs. White said, if you don't do the church, the presentation in a church, then it's like a medley atom. You know, it's so disconnected. We need to do it at church so that people will know that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is not only interested in your spiritual health, but also in your physical health. So the answer is yes. And then the third question, does it lead to friendship? Yes or no? Yes, only if you follow the ratio of 1 Seventh-day Adventist to 2 non-SDAs. If not, you only boast about the quantity, but you don't boast about quality. People got baptized, next year, they're out from the church because there's no relationship. Okay, so it's very, very important to remember this ratio. And then, as the non-SDA become acquainted with the church and develop friendship with the members, they are very likely to attend the Bible studies launched in the church and to be among the 79% of people who are baptized. Because they feel, they're familiar with the pews, they are familiar with the people, and they will be able to come to church. And so it is very, very important to build relationship. Okay? Just remember Christ's method. Only by following Christ's method can we have true success in reaching out to others through the Hold On to Health Charters church-based program. Be friendly, make friends with them, and really have interest in them, show sympathy. Not only just say, hello, hello, happy Sabbath, but inside your heart you say, you're poor, I'm rich. Who are we trying to fool? Do we try to fool God? God sees right into our hearts. And we can't fool ourselves too. When we hate a person, we can feel our heart palpitating. So come to the foot of the cross, because at the foot of the cross is a level ground. There's no educated people, there's no uneducated people. There's no black people, there's no Chinese people. There's no pretty person, and there's no ugly person. We all have the same price tag, the blood of Jesus Christ. And therefore, we can genuinely help them from our heart, because people can detect when you are faking. But if you're genuine, people can see, and the real friendship that you form will really bring people to the Lord. And so, with that comes the end of the charters. Thank you very much.